This is Dabu 7. After an 8-week trial, we have hip-hop mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs quietly celebrating in a Manhattan courtroom after a jury convicted him of 2 lesser counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, but spared him when it came to the most serious charges against him, which were sex trafficking, 2 counts, and racketeering conspiracy. Now, those could have put him away for a long, long time. And it seems James Comey's daughter and the jury had found him not guilty of the bigger charges here, which a lot of us expected this was going to happen. There was no mention of all the other stuff that he's been tied into, all the murders from Kim Porter to Tupac and Biggie. None of it. Now, he should be brought back up into court on those charges, separate. You're talking murders and deaths and all this other stuff, but his money talks and connections in the game get people out of sticky situations. Here, Sean Combs is facing maybe a max of 10 years versus the rest of his life in jail. A rigged system. Everybody knows this man was beating, trafficking, doing all types of horrific stuff. You've got video after video, person after person, and it's almost as if they wanted you to see that he can get away with this at this level, especially get away with the bigger charges, which in turn there's some kind of deal worked out behind the scenes, I'm sure, where he keeps his mouth shut, doesn't involve anyone else or any other people, his handlers, so to speak, and he just takes these lesser charges and hopes that he makes it out of prison alive on these charges. There's cats out there right now, I'm telling you, that pin the murders of Tupac and Biggie, and way more than that, on him, all the way up to Prince, all types of people's deaths tied back to Diddy, and people don't take kindly to that. And inside prison, karma gets served, unless the feds are watching them, protecting him. You know how that goes. And that's Diddy anyway. This is Illuminati. Since I was 16, a man named Tupac Shakur woke me up to the evils of this planet called Don Illuminati. I seen it, I figured out it's the killer Illuminati. And then I figured out who the enemies on this planet were. And it's BBK every day, all days of the day I die.
Want the
Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor as due to Yahweh Ba'Shem and Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem HaKadosh. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Ruwell. Peace and blessings and salutation to the whole elect. Noah's in his gospel bar lifting up the standard of Yahweh Ba'Shem and Yahweh Shai wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the spirit. This whole Diddy ordeal was nothing more but a distraction. As we speculated that he was going to get off with less sentences or less charges than what he initially was brought up on, from racketeering to conspiracy to commit murder and child molestation, all this shit, man. But it's all part of a grand scheme of things, okay, with the elites and these lower level luminaries and these gatekeepers, because Diddy ain't nothing but a fall guy, all right? He's just a lower level luminary. It's not like a big shot when it comes to the elites. Just a mere distraction to keep you jakes distracted with vain talking points, because that's all it is at the end of the day. And, I speculated that it was just one big humiliation ritual, to whatever it is. He may come out of prison richer than when he went in, who knows. But regardless of it, all the shit he was accused for, allegedly the Tupac death and the Biggie death and setting up of Prince and all this other shit, who really cares, right? Because at the end of the day, all these celebrities are in the same pot. Okay, they all do what they have to do in order to get into the industry, and they have to do certain things and do certain rituals in order to make it to gatekeeper status, which, Diddy, he's pretty much a gatekeeper. Nothing more, nothing less. He don't have that much power, and trust me, he ain't done shit worse than what the elites have been doing all this time, from your presidents to your corporate moguls to your talking anchormen. All these people you're going to find out is all part of the same cabal, just different levels to it, right? So this whole Diddy shit is just a distraction because they know stupid, dumb, bird-brained Negroes are going to eat this up online. And this is going to be the talking point for the next month or so. All right, like I loosely followed the trial. I couldn't really keep up with it because it was just too much to keep up with. You know, this came out, that came out. And the fact that there wasn't any cameras in there before the jury so we can actually see what was being said. It kind of just turned me off because I'm just like, okay, I'm not finna sit up here and listen to a bunch of CNN convolute this evidence and hearsay and that. It just wasn't important. You know, they didn't do it like they did the OJ trial, which that was all bullshit anyway. But anyway, not a long lesson, got a couple of precepts, but I do want to read the article because like I said, you Jakes, man, you this is all you're concerned with is some damn Diddy. You know, but the Lord said attend upon him without distraction. So we are to not be focused with this whole ordeal with this Diddy shit. Okay, he just a bump in the road as to many other problems that the Most High is going to deal with because he's really not that important. All right. But it says, after an 8-week trial, hip-hop mogul Sean Combs quietly celebrated in a Manhattan courtroom after a jury convicted him of 2 lesser counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Wow, big deal. But spared him when it came to the most serious charge against him, sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, right? And these two here is big in America because we found out that the CIA network and the FBI through the cartel, they smuggle, they have a big hand when it comes to the trafficking of little boys and girls and women. Okay, your own FBI and your cartel, they pay cartel members to go in and grab these people up and then feed them to the government for a particular charge. All right, it ain't just some random ass, horny ass, fat Edomite dude playing and beating his nuts in a video game playing in a basement playing PlayStation and grabbing up girl. No, that's not what that is. This is a networking. And the fact about it is, if Diddy would have went down, I mean, he probably would have released the major names that they're hiding. Because what's up with this Epstein list that haven't made it to surface yet, right? Which would never happen, by the way. But, you know, hey, he could have threatened to release the list. And they were like, well, look, we can kill you in prison. But regardless of it, sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy is big in America. And your government has a big play in that. So for them to convict this man on that, that's the pot calling the kettle black, essentially. But it says in case that accused was impresario of coercing women into unwanted sex with male prostitutes with the assistance of pilot employees. And the crazy part about it is they got this bitch Cassie on the stand to try to make this nigga look bad. And Cassie ended up falling upon her own sword, man, because everybody was trying to say how he was so abusive. But the bitch was just as wicked as this nigga because she engaged in it, man. Okay, she wasn't no saint. And it came out that she was a major hoe and she fucked women. So, you know, that got downplayed real quick because they try to use Cassie on the stand. I'm like, if you're going to use Cassie, you better use a better saint than that. You know, because they're like, okay, you've been with this guy this whole time. And then you got her husband. I forgot this clown's name, is Simp. That was basically commending her and standing by her side after all this shit been brought up about her. He was supposed to lead that broad, man. But, you know, like I said, the world is a stage and people, they believe anything that they see. And that's the ultimate point, to distract the populace because they know that this is going to rouse you Jakes up. Because when you go online, it's all Jake talking about, man, that Diddy, whoa, Diddy. But yet you got World War III. They just passed the big bad bill or the big beautiful bill. The big bad bill. But the big beautiful bill, World War III. You know, the war, found out that Israel just opened up more attacks on Iran. It's a lot of things that's happening in the world and they're not speaking on. Okay, we in the middle of an economic collapse. You know, Trump is daring to bring up this global technocracy. You know, it's just a lot of shit going on in the world and they're keeping you Jake spoon-fed with this Diddy nonsense. But it says, according to NYT's Julia Jacobs, Sean Combs put his hands together in prayer and mouthed, thank you, at the jurors. But Combs was charged by James Comey's daughter with 2 counts of sex trafficking, 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Prosecutor Maureen Comey argued that Combs was the head of a criminal enterprise, which I beg to differ. It says, who used power, violence, and fear to get what he wanted. And the fucking crazy part about all these accusations is, because Diddy ain't innocent, he's completely guilty of this shit. But the funny part about it is that these same juries work for a judge or a courtroom that's engaged in the same shit. Okay, if you think that your judges are upright and moral and decadent to society, you need to research. You need to research what a cabal or a Saturnalia or a Saturnalia or a Saturn worship is. That's why they wear black. Okay, those judges are part of a fraternal order that pledge allegiance to Satan, man, and this is why they can't judge righteously. These same judges have been found to be taking bribes, paid off, stealing money from people, like the whole child support thing. That's all fucking corruption, man. Stealing money from poor fathers that keep the families divided to fund their pensions and their yachts and their penthouse suites. That's stealing from people, man. Why they ain't being talked about? But anyway, it says, noting that he had used violence, financial control, and threats to manipulate his girlfriend into physically taxing sex sessions with hired men while he masturbated and filmed it from the cuck chair. It says, Combs' attorney argued that the government's evidence contradicted the case, but they acknowledged that Combs had past issues of domestic violence and drug abuse, but that the accusation that he was a sex trafficker or a criminal ringleader was badly exaggerated, right? Because, not only him, they all are a part of this shit. So if you bring Diddy on charges, you need to get Jay-Z in there, get Beyonce in there, get Denzel Washington up in there, okay? Get, what's his other clown? Get Harvey Weinstein in there, get Joe Biden's pedophile ass in there, get fucking his son, get Kamala Harris, get Michelle Obama, get Barack Obama, and the list goes on. You see? Diddy's stupid ass is not the mastermind behind this shit. He just a puppet in a grand scheme of things, man. And this is what we've been telling you, Jakes. But it says, the racially diverse panel of 8 men and 4 women is from Manhattan, Rochester, and to the Bronx, ranges in age from 30 to 74. But one juror was dismissed a few weeks ago after the judge found that he had given an inconsistent answer about his residence, and he was replaced by one of 6 alternates. But it says the charge he was convicted of carried a maximal sentence of 10 years, and he probably won't get the whole 10. He probably get time served, give him a year house arrest, and the rest probation. And you ain't gonna hear about the shit again. And a new name gonna pop up. But it says, versus the potential life sentence he would have faced if convicted of more serious charges. Okay? So, yeah, this is just all distraction, man. And we are not to be concerned with this shit. And you may say, well, why are you doing a lesson on it, Dan? Well, it's to shed light on that you shouldn't be distracted from it, you should be distracted by it, But still, it's good information to put out because this is all Jake is concerned with, is entertainment. And this is going to be the downfall of these Jakes. And this is why the scriptures say that it's better to be in a house of mourning than a house of feasting. For the living will lay it to heart. And this is the end of all men, roughly paraphrasing it. So Jake is in that world of feasting 24/7, and they don't take anything serious. But anyway, going down here, this is the book of 1 John 2, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at verses 14. It says, "I've written it to you, fathers, because ye have known him that is from the beginning, and I've written it to you, young men, because ye are strong, and the word of the Most High abided in you, and ye have overcome the wicked one." Yeah, because we have to overcome this wicked world. Okay, this wicked system, okay, followed by this wicked rulership, which is led by the Edomites. It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world." It says, "If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him." So Jakes are all into this because ultimately they're in love with the world and they want controversy. See, Jake never take anything serious, man. They want controversy on top of controversy, on top of entertainment. Okay, Jake never wants to hunker down and do what they have to do and focus because, Jake's life is full of dopamine hits, man. And that was done through the poisons and the metals and, being overly sexualized and just the black culture, which has been hijacked into what it is now. Okay, which black culture is not a real culture. It says, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world." Okay, and that's the point, man. This shit is of the world, so it's not to be really taken too seriously because it's like, okay, it is what it is. Yeah, Diddy may get 10 years. Okay, next. This shouldn't be the only thing you niggas are talking about online. Well, Diddy this, Diddy that. Hell, when the R. Kelly shit came out a couple years ago, Jake was pissed off at R. Kelly, but yet this nigga Hugh Hefner, he can get away with it. Because honestly speaking, R. Kelly ain't really done shit wrong. What, he had a young woman? Okay, so be it. Men always dealt with young women. Okay, that's just the natural cycle of nature. Okay, we're not saying that it's wise to do this in this world, but they'll shun you for dealing with an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, 21-year-old virgin that never been touched, all because you don't want to deal with some used up cougar that's been penetrated by 70 different rods. They'll look down on you because you don't want to deal with that. That's why the scriptures say, matter of fact, let's get this real quick. Isaiah 5:20, and it reads, it says, woe to them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter, right? You know, because they call good evil in this world and they call evil good in this world. So if you don't deal with a harlot, then you're considered just a bigot, or you're just considered lame, or you're just not a good person. Like if I told a woman that was 35 years old, she got 2 kids by 2 different men, I'm like, nah, I want a young woman that's 21, 22 years old, that's a virgin. She gonna look at you like something wrong with you. She a little girl. No, bitch, she's a grown woman, and she's at the age that she can be taught a thing or two on how to serve and submit to her husband. That's how you want it, you know? But see, this world shuns the good, and they teach you that good in this world is evil. That's why we're so hated and despised among these people. And this is why this world is getting ready to expire, man. Finally. And it says, but woe to them that are wise in their own sight, eyes, and prudent in their own sight. Okay, so, you know, woe to you that's wise in your own conceits, man. Another precept, 1 Corinthians 7. And I'm going to start at verses 7 and 35. It says, and I speak this for your own profit, that not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. Okay, without distraction, even though this is going into the woman, but overall you want to be focused on the truth, man. Okay, because everything else is just nothing but a mere distraction. Like what Yahweh Shai tell Peter, he said, look, Satan desired to sift you as wheat. So we can't be caught up in these minor distractions. Yeah, Diddy shit is entertainment and is good information to be up on it, to know the current shit, you know, so you can edify and build on it. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's nothing more but a distraction, because something a greater evil is yet approaching this world, and they're going to be taken by it because, you know, they wasn't paying attention. All right. Matter of fact, let's get that. I think that's in, is it Luke or is that in Matthew's? Yep, Luke 21, and I'm gonna start at verses 34. It says, take heed to yourselves, lest any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness. Surfeiting goes into drunkenness, right? And the cares of this life, so that they come upon you unawares. Okay, it says, for as a snare should it come upon all them that dwell on the face of the earth. So watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that should come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. So yeah, we have to bypass a lot of this shit that's going on, man. All right, like I don't want to read about the Teletubbies got a new series coming out because, you know, PBC wanted it. No. Okay, we got bigger fish to fry. Okay, yeah, Diddy, that's cool, good information. But like I said, a lot of you jakes are so wrapped up in the ways of this world, you can't even see the greater good at hand, man. And this is why we just read that you're gonna get caught up as it's gonna be a snare. All right, one more precept and I end it. 2nd Esdras 9, and I'm gonna start at verses 9, and I'm gonna start at verses because the 2/3 are gonna get theirs. But let's start at 13. It says, and be not thou curious how the ungodly should be punished. Hold on, let's read it again. It says, and therefore be curious, be thou not curious, how the ungodly should be punished, and when, but inquire how the righteous should be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created. All right, so yeah, we can't worry about this shit, man. I mean, yeah, you know, like I said, it's good and dandy, but at the end of the day, we got work to do. Then answered, and I said, I have said before, and now do speak, and will speak it also hereafter, that there may be one more of them. It says that there may be many more of them that perish than of them which shall be saved. All right, so that's the point. 2/3 out mitigate the 1/3, 10 to 1. So anyway, quick lesson. All praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Lord's will, you were edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.